Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go through the Alex Van Halen bass drum and try and get it ready for playing. For a little while I was considering replacing all the missing parts that are on here and getting it back to the form that it was in during the club days, but I decided to hold off on that. I'm just going to make it playable and keep it as is. So what I'm going to go through today is replace the hoop and the head with new ones, and then I'm going to try and tune it up and make it sound like the first Van Halen album. I also wanted to share the start of the rest of this kit. These drums just arrived the other day. They're also 70s 3-ply Ludwigs in silver sparkle, although they've faded quite a bit over the last 50-some years. These are 24, 13, and 16, and I've got a matching 18 on the way, as well as a 12-inch made in Japan tom, very similar to what Alex was using back in the club days. So hopefully I'll get this whole kit together and be able to put together some Van Halen cover videos starting next week. Okay, all the T's and claws are off. That was a little bit more stressful than I thought it was going to be. They didn't really give me any issues. There was a couple little bends in them. It just felt very weird disassembling this drum. I did go ahead and put 2 little pieces of blue painter's tape at the top so that when I put this back together, because I do plan on putting it back together when I'm done playing it, that the hoop goes on exactly the way that I got it. All right, let's put these somewhere for safekeeping. The bearing edge looks pretty darn good on this drum. Not that I would be doing anything if it didn't, but it's good to know. I'll be replacing the head with the same thing that was on there, a Remo controlled sound black dot. And then I've got a Ludwig hoop I've had sitting around. The inlay doesn't match, but we'll deal with that later. I've got all the T's and claws laid out so that they go back in the same spot that they were originally on the drum. I don't want to get anything messed up. I'm going to put on the head, get it seated on there all right. Fits nicely, a little snug, but okay. And then the hoop. Try and find the seam and get it covered with the T's. All right, I've got the hoop and head on. That was way more stressful than I thought it was going to be, but it's on there. I'm going to be very nervous about seating the head, but I'm going to work on doing that off camera, I guess, because it is very nerve-wracking. The goal is going to be to get that Van Halen 1 sound, and fortunately there's another YouTuber out there, Tanner Jordan. He posted a video the other day of recreating the sound of Van Halen 1. It's a great video. He goes into detail on each drum, and he has some measurements that he took as far as the frequency of each drum. So it's a great starting point. I highly recommend checking out the video if you're into recreating that sound. I've got it linked below in the description. Okay, I've got the drum tuned up. I got the fundamental around 65 Hertz like Tanner was suggesting. I've got a towel set inside, and I didn't want to tape it in there to hold it in. So what I did was I just put a couple Allen wrenches inside the extra spur holes to hold it in place, give it a bit of muffling. And I've got a 57 out here in addition to the regular mics that I'm using, the Earthworks. But I'm going to try and use the 57 because I believe that's what was on the first album. And let's give it a whirl, see how it sounds. All right, I've got the kick put in place with my Bonham Vista light set. I haven't changed any of the tuning on the snare drum or anything. There's no Alex tape going on. I'm also using a felt beater on here, so I don't have a wood beater like Alex had, but I'm excited to try this out. Going to play along a little bit with Running with the Devil and have some fun. All right, that was a blast. Playing Van Halen on this drum is so cool. It was already cool with the snare, but this just takes it to another level. For the next video, I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and build the rest of the Club Days set. I have 2 drums that I'm waiting on, but they're supposed to arrive tomorrow. Fingers crossed on that. And from there, I'm going to go through and I'm going to recreate the first Van Halen album. So it should be a blast. If you want to follow along, please subscribe. Thank you for all the positive comments in there. I think I was expecting a little bit of heat for actually playing the drum, but it's been 99% love, so I appreciate that very much. If you want to follow along, just go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Peace.